So Donald Trump, actually together with Elon Musk, seems to spend a lot of time talking and thinking about IQ. It's a yardstick they use to determine the value and worth of people. They'll often say, oh, so-and-so is low IQ or so-and-so is high IQ. If you remember when X was in the Oval Office interrupting Trump, Trump was saying, oh, this is X, he has a very high IQ. That's his way of complimenting somebody. That is the be-all and end-all, the ultimate yardstick for these guys. Unfortunately, however, IQ is actually a very poor yardstick and a not very valuable or useful measure when we're trying to determine someone's efficacy. How effective are they in what they're trying to do? How effective are they in the world? How good are they at leadership? What's far more important than IQ is actually EQ, emotional intelligence. Plenty of studies have shown that the single biggest determining factor on whether or not somebody succeeds in making a difference, in improving people's lives, and actually becoming successful in a way that is effective and enables progress to occur around them, is emotional intelligence. And that's a very specific thing and a very different thing from intellectual intelligence, IQ. Now, intellectual intelligence is measured often, but unfortunately it's misunderstood as the ultimate determinant of how useful, how effective, how smart you are. The real intelligence is emotional intelligence, and that is the one that correlates better with success, with achievement, with, most importantly, with efficacy, with actually managing to do positive things in the world, make a difference and make progress.
And I'd been covering a decade of research on the brain and emotion, and I wanted to have a frame for that. I integrated it with the findings from research on outstanding performers. And I saw that people who emerge as outstanding performers or the best leaders have high emotional intelligence. So from the get-go, I've seen emotional intelligence as having to do with leadership. And this was taken up by the Harvard Business Review. They've done a series of articles, starting with one which said, look, emotional intelligence is the core of effective leadership.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read from a textbook here that gives you an idea of what the key aspects of emotional intelligence are. And as you hear them, think about Donald Trump and to what extent these elements may or may not score highly for Donald Trump. So there's a series of different categories. The first category, first aspect of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. And this is described as recognizing your own emotions, reactions, strengths, and weaknesses. Understanding how you impact others, being able to deal with your feelings and reactions. Another key aspect is self-regulation, being able to control impulses and resist temptation, remaining calm in emotionally trying situations. Then there's empathy, another key aspect of emotional intelligence, understanding other people's feelings and seeing things from their point of view. It also includes recognizing another person's emotional state and understanding why they are experiencing them. It involves also considering other people's viewpoints. Now, does any of this sound like a description of Donald Trump to you? One of the ways in which we can determine what someone's emotional intelligence level is, especially that of a leader, is what the reaction is of the people who work around them. So their employees, their staff, their team, what do they say about them? And we know for a fact that the reviews of Donald Trump as someone to work with from the other people who've worked with him are absolutely terrible. If you remember, dozens and dozens of people from his past administration have written books about how awful it was to work in the White House. They even joined Kamala Harris's campaign to try and defeat him. They were determined to make sure he doesn't come back in the White House. They wrote columns in newspaper after newspaper. They sent warnings, they launched podcasts, they did everything they could to try to stop him coming back in the Oval Office. That's how distressed they were by their time working with him in the Oval Office. So far from being aware of your own feelings and the impact on others, it was the opposite. There were tales of him throwing his food at the wall and people having to then clean it off regularly because he got so angry about things. The ability to control his own emotions is clearly not there. So in the intelligence that counts, the emotional intelligence is very low. Never before in our history have we ever seen the most powerful office, the most powerful workplace in the land run this way. In his previous administration, he actually had people with some emotional intelligence around him. You know, like a number of the generals and a number of the CEOs who he brought in who didn't actually know him and who he didn't know very well, they managed to keep it in check. His former Secretary of Defense actually used to go to bed in his work clothes because he knew that at any moment he might have to jump out of bed to countermand something that Trump did to prevent the calamity happening. So this is an experiment in how such low emotional intelligence can effectively run the world and what the consequences of that actually are. Unfortunately for all of us, we're about to find out. Thank you for watching my video. I'm a psychiatrist. I'm also interested in philosophy and public policy and politics. And I aim to make a number of videos about these subjects and particularly the intersection between them. If you're able to like and subscribe to this channel, then it'll really help, and also put in some comments whenever you can. That'll really help the algorithm. It'll really help promote this channel to other people. Now, beyond that, we are all, unfortunately, at the behest of a very small number of people who seem to run everything these days. And we are all at the whim of a tech oligarch who could decide tomorrow to end a channel like this because it's not in their favor. And because of that, I've set up a kind of email newsletter, which you can subscribe to. At the top of the channel, you'll see a web address. Please go there and subscribe to my newsletter. That way you can stay in touch with the videos I'm making. At least we can keep the content flowing. So I hope you can do that. And I hope we can keep talking and also gain clarity, not just about what's happening right now, but how we can get through this, how we can improve things to make a better tomorrow together. Thank you.